my own hometown. Stranger.
Hey folks, little Johnny, and it's brew day. So, got the Robobrew up to mashing temp. It's sitting on 65ish degrees. Got my gravy ready to go. So let's just start mashing that in. I'm not running on the auto settings today. I've just running manually, and I really should put the malt pipe in before I put the grain in. So that's probably a really good thing to remember, which I nearly bloody didn't. So we almost had a major stuff up on screen, which I'm sure would have been interesting, but I'd prefer we didn't go through that. So malt pipe in. Now I've got 22.5 litres of water in here. Yeah, the rest of them I want 22. But what I want to do before I actually fire up is I want to run the pump and just make sure it's clear. Now this is something I've not really looked at on previous batches, but it's sort of come to me after doing a recent clean out, after doing a wash batch, that there was crud in the pump even though I hadn't used the pump. And I've recently had to clean the pump on my HLT because it was gunked up. So I'm just concerned of what might be actually caught in the piping and maybe in the pump itself from previous uses. So I just want to bloody run a little bit of this water through that just to make sure it's cleared out and to just make sure the pump's working. And you know, I'd rather make sure any gunk that's in there is not going to end up straight into the boil as soon as I turn the pump on. Okay, so, and that water's a little cloudy. It's not too bad, but it's just a little bit of just making sure there's nothing wrong there. So, got my grain here all mixed up. Start mashing in. Now, this brew is, I was discussing on just 2 days ago, a quick video when I was going through trying to work out what I was going to brew today. I was having a bit of trouble with the hops that I had available and wasn't sure what I was going to go with. And I was going to put up for a few suggestions and whatnot. Now, obviously, didn't leave a lot of time for people to get on and give me a comment, but I've had a few suggestions. One or two weren't really going to work with what I did have. And going from when I was going through the other day, and if you've seen the video, you know, as I was going through, I did discover I had a fair whack of El Dorado and a bag of Girillo, which I've discovered since it's actually pronounced Ya-Ilo, or it might be Ya-Ilo. It's a Russian word apparently, which threw me. I didn't think it was Russian. So, Ya-Ilo. And I thought, okay, what can I do with that? And I was thinking I'll maybe have a crack at some sort of version of an IPA, something a little bit that I hadn't really sort of gone with. And I was looking maybe I could do a black IPA or a dark IPA. And when I sat down and played around with the numbers, it just really wasn't going to work. I wasn't going to get enough of the darkness and the deeper stuff into the brew with the grains that I had, without just being totally, I think, a mess. So I thought, okay, look at it again. And so I've decided that I'm just going to do a really fruity IPA. I've done IPAs, and I did the IPA last batch with the stovetop. But I tend to work in a little bit of dank and resiny sort of hops into my IPAs. Never really done just a straight out bloody big go to hop bob, just fruity punch. So that's what I've decided to go with. After doing a bit of reading up on the Eldarillo and the Yarlo, I've decided, okay, today's going to be just a big hop bomb, big fruity bloody IPA. So what I'm looking at is I've got a mix of Golden Promise and lager malt, Simpsons, for my base, and I'm running a little bit of carrot peels, some wheat and some caramel. And that's going to just give me a little bit of flavour and colour. It keeps me on the low end of the IPA colour-wise, but that's okay. It'll work. I'm only aiming for about a 5.7% ABV, so it's not going to be big. But as I said, it's the hops that I'm looking at. And so while I was playing around and looking at it, and I'm thinking, I was sort of trying around what yeast and stuff I was going to use. And funnily enough, and I can't think off the top of my head right now, I apologise to whoever it was, but someone asked about, asked me questions on it, it may have been on Facebook even, whether I'd used imperial yeast. Now, here I am, we can get imperial yeast from supplier, look reasonably likely, Cheeky Peak out of Wodonga, Albury, for those who are a little bit geographically illiterate. And my mate Nath had bought some of this a while back when we did a bit of an order, and we always planned on sort of splitting it and, if I could get hold of it and do a brew with it. And it hadn't sort of eventuated. And funnily enough, earlier in the week he'd asked me whether I wanted some. So I said, yeah, all good. So he was he brought that into work yesterday. So it seemed like a good bloody opportunity to use it. And being, experimental little John, and we just can't just do things bloody one way, we've got to get a little bit funky with it. I thought, okay, I've got the Burton IPA that I've started up and never got around to using as well, the White Labs. So I thought, alright, what was going to be a half batch is now going to be a full batch that I will split and brew half and half with the yeast. So I'm going to do half of this with the Burton IPA, and I'll do half of it with the imperial yeast, which is the one they call Juice, which is supposedly, I believe, is the one that's recommended or designed to be used with American IPAs. So, not exactly sure, don't quote me on that. But, so that's what I'm going to do, kind of look at the two. So, big hop, going to be a big hop combination. We'll talk about it a little bit later on. I'll go through the hops. So right now, mashed in, So there's about 6.1 kilos, 6.2 kilo of grain in here at the moment. As I said, there'd be about 21.5 litres, 22 litres of water in here now. It was at 65 degrees, it's actually now sitting at 67, so that's all good. I'm going to leave it at 65. And I'm just going to run it manually. I have not put the settings on. Normally I'd use the settings, so I'm going to just manually time this. But I'm going to give it 10 minutes now to settle, and then I'll put the pump on. I have put like 5 big handfuls of rice hulls into the grain as well, just for safety. Yeah, everyone recommends it, and it's cheap insurance to make sure you're not getting a stuffed mash. So that's how it is. So I'm going to run this now for 40 minutes, and I'll come back, give it a bit of a stir up, and we'll rise up to 72 to mash out, ready for the sparge. So we'll come back and have a look at that when that's happening. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes, so it's given the grain bed some time to settle. So we'll pop the get the pump on. Yeah. Top screen's just sitting on top of the grain. Put this on slow and see how get it settled. Yeah, it's a pretty bloody biggish grain bill. Obviously, that's pushing towards the limit of what you're really going to get in here comfortably. So just sort of trying to make sure I'm not, getting the flow too high and and getting it flowing back out. That seems to be fairly steady there. Good flow around on the top plate, and it's not rising. So I don't know how well it's going, how well it's actually showing on the camera at the moment, but it's only sitting 5 mil above the plate. It's rolling around there nicely, so I'm happy with that, and we'll let that run. So we've got another half an hour. Temperature has settled to 65. We'll let him go for now. Okay, so 40 minutes is up. And we're still recircling nicely. So just need the temp up to 72 and mash out. Press the right buttons to get it happening. There we go. Coming along nicely. And we'll let it go for a bit longer. It's probably going to should only take about 6 or 7 minutes to get there, so I'll let that run for another half an hour from now. I'll give it a good 20 minutes at 72, and then we'll give it a sparge. Righto, so we're about 5 minutes off the end of that 72 degree rest for mash out. I've just taken a quick sample and get a bit of a refrac where we're sitting at. Tells us we're about 1072. 13 litre sparge. So Whether it's exactly right, I don't know. But we're certainly getting plenty of conversion going on, so that's good. So I'm going to weigh out some hops. And as I said, yeah, I was playing around and thought, oh, okay, had a lot of the Eldorado and the whack of the Yarillo, so we'll have a bit of a whack at that. So, big fruity hop bomb is what I'm looking for on this one. Something that's a little bit different to what I would normally do. So, a little bit of a quick search around, found that the Yarillo is quite fruity, and it's reported as throwing banana-y type flavours, but also when pushed into like using it for bitterness, also develops some peach and melons, so oranges. So that's going to work nicely. So I'm going to go with the Yarillo for bittering, and I'm going to do a 30-minute addition. There will be I'm going to do a 60-minute boil, but this is going to go in at 30 minutes. And the reason being I'm only going to do it for 30 minutes is because I'm going to run the cooler directly to the fermenters as I normally do with the coolers in the esky. But I'm not going to recirculate back into the water and cool it and then drop it through. So I'm just going to drop it straight from the fermenter through the chiller into the fermenter. So what that means is in that 20 minutes it sort of takes to do that, all those hops that are already in the brew, in that wort, are still going to be at an elevated temperature, because it's not going to reduce at all until it actually goes through the chill. So effectively it's going to pick up another 15 sort of minutes of contact time, which will get a lot more of the IBU and the bitterness that I'm looking for. I've calculated at 44 IBU for the actual additions, and I estimate that I'm probably, by the time I finish with flame outs and whatnot, we're probably going to be somewhere around, I'm hoping somewhere around 60 actual IBU to give me where I want to be. So, Yarillo at 30 minutes. I'm going to do Eldorado at 10 and 5. And then Eldorado with some mosaic at flame out. So there's going to be quite a bit of the Eldorado going in late. I just don't want to be whacking that fruitiness out of that. Now I've used the Eldorado a while back. I did a combination. I did an Eldorado and Amarillo Pale Ale. And it was quite subtle. I didn't push it real hard, but it was quite tasty. So I am reasonably happy with the Eldorado flavour. I've used the hash as well in pale ales as well with good success. So it does work quite nicely. So I'm happy with that. Now, so there's four separate hop additions during the boil with the flame out. Then what I'm going to do is split this batch. I'm going to ferment half with two different yeasts. As long as both yeasts fire up. I've had Burton IPA is sitting there. It still doesn't actually look like it's doing anything, but the yeast cake's grown, so I'm not really sure. I'm not really confident that it's actually going to be viable. So I'll see how that's looking by the time I get to the end of the boil. I may end up just running this as one single batch, or with the same yeast and just split it over the two batches. But either way, the plan is to split the batch and then run a big Eldorado dry hop on two separate drops at 4 and 7 days of the ferment. Then do the same with the mosaic. Just get a comparison between how the two are different with that dry hop. So I'm hoping this yeast will fire up, because I don't think I've got enough yeast of the Imperial to do a 23 litre batch. So we'll see. So I'll finish weighing these hops out. The timer tells me we're coming up right on the 30 minutes now. So I'll quickly finish weighing up these hops, and then we'll get back and we'll get this sparge happening. We've come to the end of the mash. I said half an hour up 72. That's recirculated through nicely, and it's nice and looking nice and clear. Now, this malt pipe. It's in the wrong place. Oh yeah. Okay, we'll start running through. Now, normally I will heat my sparge water up to around 85 degrees and that is through. There's been a lot of discussion around about the right temperature to sparge at and what works and what doesn't. And there's a lot of argument for it doesn't really matter as long as you sparge. Conversion's done. Temperature of the water doesn't particularly matter. So, for the sake of making the day a little bit easier and a little bit less mucking around, I'm going to sparge with just straight tap water. So, got my big bucket. It would have been easier if I something a bit easier to handle. Doing shit on the fly. With just a bit of grain dust in there, we'll get that out. I don't want to completely chuck back in necessarily. Right, I'll make the bloody cube's a little bit bloody heavy, so. And we'll just pour it on top. And let it run through. Now, I've measured out very precisely, roughly 13 litres of sparge water. My calculations tell me that will get me to around 30.5 litres in the Robo to start my boil. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, that's filtering through nice and slow. And I've got to say, this is actually the first time with the Robobrew that that mash water hasn't pretty much just dumped straight through once I pull up the malt pipe. So that's a positive thing. I must say the circulation did work a little bit better today. I have said that all along. Any new system that you're going to use takes some time to work out exactly how it's going to work and get your numbers right. So it would appear I've got something going in the right direction today. We've had no overflows, nothing, didn't even look like getting to the overflow pipe. As we saw, our refractometer reading from the mash looked good, so I'm feeling pretty confident with this one at the moment. This is draining through nicely. It's holding, I've got probably 2 inches of water sitting above the top plate. and it's just dropping through nice and slow. You'll probably hear it. It's more of a it's just more that trickle, not a pouring effect going through. So hopefully that will translate to a good result at the end. Okay. So this is going to take a little while. We're not going to stand here and wait. You don't really want to sit there and stand and watch me pour a bit of water in, wait for it to go down, pour a bit more in. So we'll come back once this is up to a boil. Pop in some hops, have a quick look at them. Righto, so we are just about to hit the boil. 99. So ready with a bit of water and the paddle, just give it a stir and a bit of control if we need to. Now come up a little bit short on the volume. End up with about 28 litres in the kettle here. There is a little bit extra. I've got the malt pipe continuing to drain over down on the bottom here, but yeah, there's not a lot there. It's only maybe 200 or 300 mils at best. So my accurate rough calculations obviously weren't accurate enough. But I've got a pre-boil sieve just cooling a little bit. I'll take a refrac on that in a second just to see where it's sitting at and see whether I need to adjust a bit more water or not. But we'll see how we go now. This is a boil under there. Even I've got a little bit extra room here, I've left both elements going. It seems like it's going to be alright. It's only, yeah, she's not really spilling up anywhere. So if you've not seen this one, well, this is just a spray bottle of water. And if your foam starts getting a little bit too high, just give it a bit of a spray to knock it down a little bit. No, the paddle's also a good one. Just a bit of a stir and you can keep it under control. That's getting a good boil there. It's trying to come up. Again, it will depend a bit on the actual grain you use. I think that's going to, how much foam you're going to get. I mean, if you're pushing this Robobrew to 30 litres, as happened on my previous brew, it can get pretty hard to control, but you can do it. So that's just under the surface, and there you might probably, you might be able to just see that just coming to the very top. Like I said, you just knock it down with a little bit of water. A little stir. But that's all. 2 or 3 minutes of just keep an eye on this, and it'll all fold back down into the brew and it will continue on its merry way. That's boiling nice and hard at the moment. Foam gone now. Pretty much it's gone through the hot break and it's looking good. So soon I'm under volume a little bit. I'm going to knock out the 500 watt element. It's a reasonably warm day. That should keep a decent boil going on the 1900 without any problem. So I'll check I'm going to check that refrac and see what it looks like, see whether I need to adjust anything, but for the time being, let's go now for half an hour before we've got the first hop addition. So we'll come back and look at that and update on what we did with the volumes, if we had to adjust anything. Alright, just to prove you can do stuff, not spend all day having to stand around brewing. I've just been out doing some mowing, keep the wife happy. Alright, so I've want to go half an hour into the boil. I think I'm maybe 35 minutes, I'm not sure. But first hop addition. So just going to use the grain bag. I've got quite a few hops going into this one. So I'll just feed him in. First hop addition is the Amarillo. Pop him in there. Give him a bit of a poke. Just dropped under the surface, these are all good. Now that refrac sample I took was showing about 1056. I was after a pre-boil of 1051, so I put 2 litres of water in the top up, so we're pretty much back to where we should be volume wise. So it goes. So I'll run through the rest of the hops and we'll come back and catch up a bit later on. Okay, so I've just dropped a 10-minute addition of hops in, which was Eldorado. I've dropped a half a wallflock in there. Yeah, I'm pretty. I'm not going to get much more out of this wall pipe, so I'm going to pop that in there. Looking at that, there's probably about half a litre in there, so that'll give that a bit of a boil. Come back up, switch the 1900 back on. So I'm about to set up the chiller and the esky and get it connected. So it can, I'll run the water through it while it's still boiling for the last 5 minutes, just to make sure everything's cleaned out from inside the coils. They do get a really good flush to clean that after a thing, but there could be, I've got quite a whack of earwigs around the place, and earwig could crawl in there, or it could be anything stuck in there. So just make sure it's all clean before I go to cooling. Just for safety sake, don't want to lose 23 litres of beer for the sake of a couple of minutes. So I'll get that set up, and we'll come back when we start to run the cooling. Okay, so got the first lot of ice into the esky ready to go. Flame out's off, the last hops are in. Now, as I said, I've changed my mind on the yeast. I'm not going to go with the gluten union. What I am going to go, this is the fermenter I did the small batch IPA in last week. I hadn't got around to cleaning up the yeast, and so it's still sitting there. So this is Liberty Bell. This was a small batch. It wasn't hot. This is a lighter IPA. So I'm happy to go straight onto that batch. That's where we'll go. It's a bit of nuts. So now I'll just switch on the pump. Now I want to get it done nice and slow. It's not stopped. There we go. And I'll just run through that. So I'll transfer. What have we got here? We've got 29, 7. Got about 26 litres left there. So we'll get 12 into each fermenter without too much problem. So I'll stick 12 into this one and then swap over into a clean fermenter, which I'll use for the other half. And I'll just keep topping this up with ice as we go, keep this nice and cool. I'll grab a sample on this and do a reading and update that once we're done. Right, so we've transferred both fermenters, cooled, they're pitched, they're in the fridge. So just a quick catch up on where they were. Things got a little bit crazy around here during the cooling. I didn't jump on straight away while I was going to get where we were. So once the water had cooled, we were a little bit under on volume. so enough volume on the original gravity, but I did miss. I had allowed for some dry malt to go into the mix, but I'd missed that during the boil. So I've added a bit of dry malt with a little bit extra water into each one to bring the gravity up, and it's got me up to 1054 on both. So it's still a couple of points under where I wanted to be. Now this seems to be a running issue with the Robobrew. I can't find a happy place. I'm running at the moment with a brewhouse efficiency of 58% and still coming under the numbers. So obviously something needs to be tweaked a little bit harder. I know that I think that's pretty low. I think most people are getting better than that. I know overall the general efficiency is not fantastic on the Robobrew. It's probably just a dimension issue, and it was a bigger build, which will always knock your efficiency down. So, and I actually got in and given maybe the mash a bit more of a stir during the mash. I might have got around that, but the reality is the whole point of the Robobrew is that it's put it in, let it do its thing. So. I'll recalculate those numbers and relook at the actual efficiency. And like I said, it's probably more a case of the grain bill was sort of pushing to the levels of the limit of the Robo, and probably wasn't going to get much better. So, but at the end of the day, I'm not really too concerned about that 1054, 1058. It's 0.5% on the alcohol. It's should still come out in the low fives, which will work. So I've split the batches, end up with half on the Bell or the Liberty Bell yeast and the other half on the Imperial juice. The Liberty Bell's up and firing pretty much straight away. It was a fresh yeast cake. It only got bottled on Sunday, so Friday, so that's only 5 days ago. So. And it's still been sitting under beer ever since, so it was pretty much ready to just up and go. The juice is starting to show a little bit of signs of action, so it'll kick in quick enough. So they're in the fridge. I've got them set at 18 degrees. I'll run them there. Plan is to do a dry hop, as I discussed earlier. El Dorado into one, Mosaic into the other, and that will be 50 grams of El Dorado and 40 grams of Mosaic. The Mosaic's just got a higher AA than the El Dorado, so that's just sort of just a balance. Alpha levels are around the same level. That's how that goes. But that'll be first drop at day 4, then there'll be a drop at day 7, and then I'll be looking to bottle those. Probably around day 14, 2 weeks, so day 14, day 16, somewhere over that weekend will be where it'll happen. Actually, no, it'll have to be the Friday, because that weekend I'm going over to Orange to see Ian Voss and have a weekend over there with the missus, so it'll have to be the Friday because we're going on the Saturday. So anyway, that doesn't really affect you too much, but so there'll be a decent dry hop in these. I'm not going to put in and pull out. I'm going to leave it in there the whole time. So it'll be a 7 to 10 day dry hop, depending on which one you're looking at. So it'll give us a good, should give some nice fruit and punchy going on from there. So that's it. I've called this one the Bloody Nose IPA, or the Blood Nose IPA, because I'm hoping it's going to be like a punch in the face. So, so we'll see. But anyway, that's me for today, or end of the day. So, you got any questions, any comments on the brew, stick them down the bottom. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button down there as well. We do this nonsense every so often. and playing around and doing things. Yeah, looking at how different yeasts and different combinations work. So that's me for the day, little job. So until I see you next time, we're looking at beer, drinking beer, brewing beer, talking beer, good brewing.